We're afraid of what people will think, or we're afraid we're not good enough, or we're afraid we're too much. And so we hold ourselves back. When we do that, we're muting ourselves. And there are too many people that are muting themselves in the world. And I, for so many years, was one of them. I've discovered the power of unmuting myself, of showing up in the world in a way that is joyfully expressed and boldly alive. That's something that has been so important to me as I've discovered how freeing it is to be unmuted, to unmute our body and to unmute our ideas and to unmute our desires, to unmute ourselves in relationships and at work, and to be our own advocates and to ask for what we want and need. The unmuted life is a life that is fully alive and fully expressed and confident and clear. And to me, it's the only way that I know how to live now. I know what it's like to feel confined and stuck and small and silenced. And I also know what it feels like to be expressed and alive and joyful and present and seen. And it's so much better of a life to be unmuted. And that is what I want to bring you into. Are you ready to unmute yourself? Let's make it happen. Hey there, everybody. Happy Unmuted Monday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so excited that all of you are here. I want to give a shout out to Robert and to Toby. Let us know, drop in the chat, drop in the comments if you are here. Let us know where you're joining us from. We've got Robert from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm here in Baltimore, Maryland, and guess what? I'm in my new house. In a little bit, I'm going to show you a fun little exciting video of my new backyard. And let's see, John, great day in every way. So let's play the role we choose. Yes, John, like we get to choose how we show up. And that's so much of what today's conversation is going to be about. So John, glad that you're here. Again, drop in the comments. Let us know where you're joining us from. Tim, our producer extraordinaire, is joining us from Pennsylvania. And then we've got all the way across North America is where our guest is joining us from the Vancouver area today. Hey, Mary Catherine, so good to have you here. Really, really glad that all of you are here. Again, drop in the comments where you're joining us from. It's always helpful to know to give you a shout out. And while we're getting started, would love for each of you to take a moment and drop in the comments to do something that is a really great way to start your day intentionally. To drop in the comments, what has been a bright spot for you? What's been a bright spot for you in the past 48 hours? Something that's been a highlight of some kind, something that brought you joy, something that gave you a boost of hope or a boost of energy. Let us know in the comments. If you can't think of a specific thing, maybe drop a line to somebody, tag somebody below who is a bright spot for you. I know that our guest today is absolutely a bright spot for me. Debbie, welcome from Evansville, Indiana. Karen, hi. Yes. We had the best time. Karen and I met at a conference, a women's conference I spoke at in Northern Virginia. And we had so much fun. Wasn't that the best? That conference was incredible. Karen, good to have you here. Mary Catherine's joining us from West Palm. Good morning, Maria Rouse. If you're just joining us, drop in the comments and let us know what is something that has been a bright spot for you, something that has been a source of joy. And speaking of joy, I'm going to share with all of you a new book I've been reading. I know a lot of times I'll share on here. Oh, Zach is here. Had a great celebration with our kids for our 35th year anniversary. Congratulations, Zach. That's incredible. Zach is a regular as well, and we appreciate you being here, Zach. Sacramento, California. Ooh, a day by the pool outside, R&R. Mary Catherine, we did the same. We had some fun pool days. I'm going to share two things with you. First, I'm going to share with you a book that I've been reading. If you're looking for new inspiration, and we'll drop a link to this in the comments. The Book of Joy. If you've read this, let us know. It's an interview between the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. And it's an incredible book, really focusing on how we can create lasting happiness, talking about things like humility and forgiveness and compassion and generosity and acceptance and gratitude. There are so many things that we have control over in the midst of a world that can a lot of times seem out of control. So that book, fantastic book, would highly recommend it. If there's any books, other books that you're reading that you'd recommend, feel free to drop those in the comments, whether you're joining us for the live show or if you're joining us for the recording and the replay. So yeah, the Book of Joy in the comments. Oh, Toby, congratulations, got your teeth fixed. Yes, it's such a good feeling, isn't it? I'm dealing with a tooth issue. I'm getting a crown on Thursday. A crown, I wish. A crown and a filling. Delightful. Sarah, welcome, Sarah. Your pup, Zoe. Oh, a mini pincher. Oh my gosh, Sarah, that sounds adorable. So glad that you're here joining us. Gabe, welcome. We're just sharing what bright spots have been for us in the past 24 hours or 48 hours. So feel free to drop one of those in the comments. And then we're going to pull up, I want to show you guys. So this has been the past 3 years since I decided to leave my full-time job and be an entrepreneur has been a whirlwind. I know many of you know I was involved in a car accident, got hit by a truck and fractured my back 2 years ago. And then just in the midst of the pandemic, running a business has been really stressful. And so we've worked so hard to make this reality of this new house possible. And I want to share with you, if y'all are in the Baltimore area, you got to hit me up. If we could pull that video up, I just want to show you, this is what I'm so excited about. This is our backyard, our new backyard of our house. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Okay. Super cool shed. Then check this outside backyard.
Yay. That's our backyard. I'm so excited about it, you guys. It's been such a joy. It's like hard work can be exhausting and sometimes it can pay off. So that's just been really exciting. So if you're ever in the area, hit me up. Yes, Maria, so good to have you here. Great. Awesome. Well, I mentioned that the book, the video, and without further ado, what I want to do now, thank you. Again, if you're in the Baltimore area, you got to send me a message. Love to have you over. What I want to do next is just drop in, quick announcement. If you're not already following, I have a newsletter on here that I publish every other week called Unmute Yourself. And the last article was about 11 prompts to spark trust and connection on your team. So if you're looking for ideas for how to do that, we're going to drop those links in the comments. So feel free to check those out after the show. And then there was a podcast episode that I did with our guest. Many of you may know him. He is positive trolling all around LinkedIn every day. And he has been, at least in my world, for the past 2+ years. And I was on his podcast, and we'll drop that link in the comments as well. We talked about the impact of having an unmuted culture at work. And it was such a fun episode. There were thoughtful questions. We laughed together. We just had honest conversations about what we need to do to be more intentional about how we structure and set up our organizations to be more supportive and more life-giving for people at work. So awesome. And by the way, Gabe says so many good things going on in my life, feeling fun and creative. What time's the pool party? Hey, let me know if y'all are ever in the area. Give me a shout. So let me introduce our guest for today. So as founder and chief strategist at Cybersecurity SC, Dom Vogel holds a proven track record over his 15-year career. He's a well-respected cybersecurity thought leader, and he's appeared on media outlets throughout North America and internationally on the BBC World News. We've got a big deal with us today, guys. And Dominic also hosts the Cybersecurity Matters podcast, a highly regarded podcast that looks at the intersection between cybersecurity and business. And he talks to so many people that you are probably familiar with on this platform. I know Heather Monahan's been on there. There's been so many other people that are prominent influencers on LinkedIn that he's had as guests. He focuses his energy on providing strategic security leadership to technology startups and small to mid-sized businesses to proactively solve their cyber risk challenges. He strives to provide practical cybersecurity advice to his clients and helps to actively turn the consulting world upside down. He's also, and this is going to be one of the focal points of our time together today, he's also a self-professed positive troll and believes in the awesome power of uplifting others. So if you help me, give a shout out, give some claps, let him feel welcome, give him a warm, unmuted welcome to Dom Vogel. Dom, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's so good to have you here. We were having fun right before the show. We do fun things. And I said, I have got some fun props that we're going to bring up. If anybody If anybody else here had an appreciation for a collection of treasure trolls, you can't even buy these things now. Like they like
those
don't
would be
make them.
those would be great at a pool party, by the way.
Put them in their own little floats, But they're fun. And you're like, when I think about you, Dom, I don't even know how we first got connected, but it was through LinkedIn. And I would notice that whenever I'd get a new comment on something I would share, one of the first people who was always leaving a comment that was full of comments about like supporting awesomeness and you're bringing joy and illumination. It was so affirming. And then I noticed that it wasn't that like you were doing this across multiple people's accounts and just being a source of goodness and a source of light. And I'm curious, I find that people who show up that way in the world, there's often been like a source of pain that they've had related to that perhaps, or maybe they didn't experience that. And so they want to give out what they didn't experience, or maybe they did experience a lot of it and they want to like pay it forward. So I see you as when we think of trolls, we think of people that just get on here and antagonize and are obnoxious and leave mean comments and criticize people. When I think of a positive troll, it's somebody who like basically just every time they show up, the world becomes a better and brighter place. And I think anyone who has had any interactions with you on this platform and outside of this can attest to the fact that that's what they experience when you show up. And he's, by the way, Jacob is loving the beard game. Jacob was on our show a couple of weeks ago. And Jacob is awesome. Jacob's another positive troll. Maria too, man. Maria's like always active on there, and Gabe's just like supporting everybody, and just the best. So curious, like tell us a little bit about what kind of motivates you to show up that way. Where does that come from? When did you start doing that? I mean, anything you want to share about it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Actually, I had a post about that this morning where, at least in the context of a platform like LinkedIn, I always saw it through the lens of a business platform. To me, I was obsessed with numbers. How am I getting leads? Are those leads generating something that goes to an actual opportunity? Is that leading to one business kind of thing? And that's how I approached that platform for pretty much since I signed up from it. And around 3 years ago, I guess it was maybe just before the pandemic, I was like, there's got to be a better way. Like this is a grind. This doesn't feel right. I was frustrated, felt very unfulfilled every time I was using it. And then I thought, what if I look at this differently? Right? I think of some of the most fulfilling things in life, and being able to connect with someone, build a meaningful relationship, and continually support and uplift. I thought, well, maybe I should try that instead. And there's something which I really believe in, especially on a platform like LinkedIn, where you connect with someone, then you end up building something meaningful like a relationship, and then you continually uplift, right? That to me is the what I refer to as sort of the formula for success kind of thing on the platform like LinkedIn. And there's so much negative energy today, and especially in recent memory, there's so much to be down about, so much negative energy. Just to be, a positive source of energy, to be a positive troll, it helps you stand out, and if for no other reason, I've always been someone who wants to be someone who is someone that makes someone smile, right? I want to be the good in someone's day. I've been that way pretty much since I was born. When I was a kid, I was like making my brother and my parents laugh. To me, I always wanted to be that source of positive energy, and this is just sort of how it's manifested in adulthood, But I truly do believe in that power. Like I said, everyone, it's always a good thing to be a good light in the world. People gravitate towards that, and I think you and I've talked about this before. More so as well, it helps repel the people that shouldn't be in your ecosystem, right? It's very powerful that way.
Yeah, that's such a good point. It's sort of like sometimes people are like blinded by the light because they're just looking for the darkness. And they're like,
exactly.
I can't tolerate it, but there's people like you, there's people like Usama is another one who is a positive troll on here. Will Sullivan is another one who's like a positive troll, king of, kindness and all of that. And I think the other thing that you see us interacting in each other's ecosystems. Like the people that are on here for good, find other people that are on here for good, and we amplify each other. Have you found that to be true too?
Absolutely, and the other thing too is about consistently showing up. Right, there's people who maybe show up for short bursts here and there, but for me, I didn't really sort of see this truly blossom until about doing this consistently for I want to say probably about 2 years, right? Really putting in that time and effort and consistently showing up, right? It's one thing to leave a positive comment once every 6 months, but to show up day in and day out kind of thing and do so consistently. That way people know that you're there for real, right? You're not there fishing for a compliment. You're not there fishing for work, right? When you show up consistently, people see that you're the real deal.
Yes. Yes. And I think that's what so much of just the people that I'm seeing in the thread here, like the names of the people like Usama, Maria, and Gabe and Jacob, and I know on the show like Will and Toby and Zach, and I mean I don't want to miss anybody, but I'm seeing so many people whose names like it's not even close to the first time, or even like the 15th time or the 50th time I've seen their names. It's like in the hundreds. You know what I mean? So I think the consistency piece is really important, because when people know that, when people see someone showing up consistently and they're not doing it like for likes, you're doing it because you genuinely want to add something. Yeah, Jake says the daily positivity grind. Yeah. Is that like what it feels like sometimes?
So that's a good term. I'll have to remember that.
The daily positivity grind. Yeah, you can write a post about that. We'll give a shout out to Jacob. Because that is so true. It is so true. Like, you know, and when people show up that way, because the world can be such a dark place, we remember them, right? Like I would imagine people like, and then you take it a step further, because you don't just keep it on LinkedIn. Like you've developed, I mean, can you even think of the number of people that you've developed offline relationships with since doing this? I mean, I can't even imagine.
It's and I'll not to plug the post I did today, but the timing is actually quite good. I now gauge the success on platforms like LinkedIn in terms of how many meaningful relationships did I start or strengthen this past month. And to your point, like to me, it's countless. You know, I over the past 3 years, I think of what I refer to as forever life-changing friendships. Yours included as well, Rachel, in terms of how much more enriched and fulfilled a life can be when you put relationships first and recognize that by being very focused from a servant perspective, not trying to get work or deals or anything out of it. But I would say if you lead with friendship, the world opens up to you. It really, really does. And I just think about like all the people I've had the chance to build meaningful relationships, people right across the world. Again, I'm very blessed to be in a time and point in history where that's even possible, right? It's not just restricted to people in my neighborhood or my backyard or Vancouver. You know, it's truly, you know, a blessing way. But to answer your question, no, I kind of lost count after about 20.
But it's genuine, you know what I mean? Like, or you'll check in and you'll be like, hey, we need to catch up. And you're not saying that. I think we've all been in a situation where we've heard people say like, we need to catch up. And you're like, I know what that means. But you mean it.
I mean it, and that's something which I've again possibly especially over the past 2 years, I should say, where I make a really consistent effort to make sure that I have those frequent check-ins, because it's, to me, with any relationship, it needs care and feeding, right? It doesn't mean we have to chat every day. No, right? We could, but even just making sure that you check in with someone, whether it's every 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, I try to make sure I at least chat with people at least a handful of times a year, right? I know we engage on platforms like LinkedIn, but actually offline conversations where we can have real conversations about, you know, moving to a new house, or, you know, something that we're dealing with in our personal life, what have you. That's how you get really connected, right? That takes those sort of initial interactions from the platform, and that's how you strengthen the relationship and the friendship. And that, to me, is what a lot of people often miss, is the opportunity to truly strengthen that bond and strengthen that friendship.
Yeah, I love what you had said a little while ago. You said something about the fact, like, what have I done to either like almost like serve or strengthen a relationship in some way? And right?
Exactly. That to me is, I think, I see a lot of people always thinking about the, you know, what's in it for me kind of thing, right? And it's I mean, I think society is a reflection of the fact that, you know, we have lived a very egocentric way for many, many years. I think today's society, unfortunately, does reflect that to a certain degree. But I think to me, it's being an important thing that I like to espouse as well, is that, you know, think of yourself second. You know, in any good relationship, you always put the other person first, right? As a dad, as a husband, as a son, as a friend, you have to put the other person first, right? I truly believe that, because then that elevates your relationship. That strengthens your relationship. If it's always about you, those relationships never ever amount to anything. They're very superficial.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting you're saying that, because we didn't like plan this timing or anything, but I mentioned that book, The Book of Joy, when we signed on today, and then I want to get to some of the comments that have come in. But like that's one of the main things they talk about, is that they basically say a life that is very self-centered is a life that is typically not going to be very happy. It's a life that is other-centered, which is not to say we neglect ourselves. I think sometimes it's the assumption, right, of like, oh, well, if I'm really caring for others and I'm neglecting myself. No, they're not mutually exclusive. But the happiest people are people that are really thinking about, how can I be a contribution today?
Exactly, and I think the happiest people too, when you meet someone, or you start off, a relationship or friendship, right? There's the me-centric people are the what can I profit from this person today? Can I sell them something? Do they know someone that maybe I can be introduced to? Right? The other-centric is the, wow, here's an awesome person that I've now had the opportunity to meet. What is it that they do? How can I help them? How can I support them? Right? Mm-hmm. That type of mindset, like I said, it's a mindset I've worked hard on over the past few years. I've really found it to just be, like I said, just truly uplifting and empowering that way. In fact, to the point which after what I refer to as every first offline convo I have with someone, I always end that call with, what's one thing I can do to support you as a friend, whether that's continually supporting on LinkedIn, whether that's be, writing you a review, whether it's be introducing you to someone, what have you. I always believe in the power of being very specific and saying, what's that one thing that I can do to help you today, rather than broadly saying, I'm here to help, or here as a friend, right? When you're very specific, that really helps dial people in further and say, well, hey, this person genuinely does care about me. They're not just saying it, they're being super specific by saying, what's one thing that I can take offline to better help you and support you.
Yeah, I love that question. Maybe Tim, we can drop that in the comments of just like, what's one thing I can do to support you? And this is James. I'm going to get to some of the comments, because I know Teresa and Leslie, by the way, welcome. Two other people that are so supportive of others. I know Teresa through Gabe Leal's community, and Gabe, by the way, he said, I want to get back up to it. He said, he said something like, I want to be as positive as this guy when I grow up. Is something that I don't want to botch it. Oh, one day when I grow up, I want to be as positive as this guy. And then Osama's dropping in some truth bombs of positivity cultivates every agility and remarkability. And then Leslie Wyrick is sharing. So I live in Northern Indiana. I'm flying to Austin, Texas to meet with two amazing friends I've met through LinkedIn. One's from England. And they do a lot of work in mental health and suicide prevention. And so it's like these connections to things we care about can be helpful, just so meaningful and powerful. And I'm curious, I know, Dom, if you want to share anything else about that, feel free. I also, one of the things I admire about you is how you just share about your journey as a dad. And I've never met James, but I know about James because you post about him. So everyone, this is James. If anyone wants to drop in the chat and say welcome to James or give some claps. He's our celebrity guest today. But John, anything you want to share about that? Because I feel like you share so vulnerably about the journey of what it is to be a dad and to do the work you do and how to make all of that work together. And so anything you want to share about that would be valuable.
I thank you. And to me, I think it's about, like you're saying, speaking vulnerably, speaking authentically. I think recognizing too that there's a couple different camps of dads where they're working dads, and they often feel guilty about not being able to spend time with their kids, and that was something which, for me, I felt, especially with my daughter, because that was before the pandemic. I wasn't working remotely. I feel very lucky and blessed in many ways that James has been on pretty much every single work call I've had since he was born. For better or for worse, he's picked up on some language, but it's been a blessing that way, in which I haven't missed any of his first, and I think that's I feel very grateful and blessed that happened that way. But also trying to normalize the fact that we need to do a better job around smashing, gender stereotypes and gender assigned roles. I still find it surprising, well, maybe not surprising, but when there'll be people who say, "Oh, that's nice of you to be babysitting your son." I was like, I'm not babysitting him. He's my son. We're hanging out. We're spending time together, right? And I think it's so important for, like I said, especially as a white male. I want to make sure that I do my part to make sure that we push past some of these stereotypes that have held us back, especially from a patriarchal perspective. Being able to normalize the fact that child rearing, that isn't just up to the mom to do, right? There's equal responsibility. There's things which I hope through sharing my posts as well that help to try and normalize the fact that you shouldn't just abscond that, right? Especially as a dad. There's so much joy and so much opportunity to learn that. It saddens me when I see dads that don't really have active involvement in their child's upbringing, right? So I'm just trying to do my part to help change that conversation and normalize that, and help people recognize that we can and should do more, right? There's still, unfortunately, a lot of men who don't see the world that way, and they should. And like I said, I hope that just through one little effort on my part, I really hope to just help normalize those conversations. But from a pure business sales perspective and leads perspective as well, he sells far better than any time I talk about cybersecurity. So
everyone's like, he's cute.
Yeah, well. The thing is, it's especially when I'm closing a sale, I'll put on the video. People have a hard time saying no to a 4-year-old compared to a 36-year-old.
Sales technique, everybody who's listening, make a note. You don't have a small child in your house. Maybe pull up a cute dog or something. These can help you.
Well, not to play the guilt card, but sometimes I jokingly say, when you engage with a small business owner, right, you're not paying for my yacht. I don't have a yacht. What you're helping pay for, though, is making sure that James has a fun vacation next summer, kind of thing, right? It helps people at least recognizing and humanize me as well. And most kidding aside, that's why I post what I post, to really humanize myself, especially in a field like cybersecurity, where people are known to be robotic, extremely boring, and condescending. I thought it was super important to share the real me. That's why I believe in showing up authentically in any call, anything now, especially in-person meetings. I don't wear suits anymore, right? I'm usually have my headphones around my neck, hat, whatever the finest Under Armour product I can find of the day, kind of thing. And that's me, right? Yeah. If that doesn't jive with people, then that's cool, right? We weren't meant to do business together. But that's what like I said, the power of just truly being yourself, and going on with what you had told me way back when, Rachel, when we first met, was, again, truly just unmuting myself, right, and being the real me, being authentically me. That has just unlocked so much growth from both my organization, my company's perspective, and my own personal growth as well.
This is awesome. I just want to pause and reflect some things back that I heard you say, and then also give a shout out, by the way. Zach goes, well, my neighbor think it's creepy if I ask to borrow their 5-year-old gorgeous curly redhead girlfriend to call. Maybe. It was not recommended on this show that we steal children. No, but it's true. It's like the humanization piece of it is so important, and is it looks like the connection, if we could pull, is it Anne? I want to say it's probably French. I'm probably mispronouncing it with the accent on the E. Wilga, last name Wilga. Do you know? Maybe you're connected to her?
No, I don't recognize the name. No, sorry.
Okay, that's what I say. And if you want to put the pronunciation of your name in the comments, I'll make sure I say it. I feel the same about my daughter, who's almost 3. So like basically another pandemic baby, and has met all my work colleagues in virtual meetings. And like, then that gives people something to ask about besides the weather or besides what you did that weekend. It's like, hey, what's James been up to lately? Like, what cars has he been playing with? What funny things has he been saying? Because that's another thing that has been said, is you have like this comedic side to yourself that I don't know if everyone knows. I would imagine some of that brushes off on him a little bit.
Oh yes, yeah. He's pretty funny for a 4-year-old. And I mean, just to show again the whole working from home, I'll just tilt my camera just a little bit. Like there's cars. I'm not sure if everyone can see it, but there's cars all over my desk.
Oh, there are.
Right. So that's work life. I hate the word balance, but it's harmonization, right? I truly love the fact that at this point in time, in both my life and his life, where we are joined right now, where I get to spend the day with him, right? Just in a short few months, he's going to be going to kindergarten. We'll be gone all day. That's going to be a transition for both him and me. Right. So my office will be clean again, but it'll feel somewhat empty as well.
Yeah. It's hard. And I like the point you bring up too, because a lot of times when I talk about this, I did a poll probably a year ago asking people on LinkedIn, like, what other term besides balance? I don't like it either, because it implies like an evenness. And by the way, I think it was Gabe, somebody commented, they're like, oh, now I know, or was it Zach? So he said, I know. Oh, Zach said, glad to see what Dom looked like before the beard. James, you rock. Zach's got jokes today.
Zach's on fire. He's my kind of guy. I appreciate that.
He's on fire. And Rich is here. Rich is another, I'd consider a positive troll. And Amit is here. Welcome, Amit, from Pakistan. Good to have you here. So I appreciate that. And Toby is helping me pronounce the name. So I wonder if it's like Ane, maybe. I'm probably getting that wrong. As long as I recognize it's about me, I'll answer any pronunciation of my name. You're very generous. I appreciate that. So there's another thing that I think is important to bring up as we're continuing this conversation, right? We talked about balance, and we don't want to talk about that. And instead, I like to think of the words you mentioned: harmony, rhythm, alignment, integration. So I'm curious for those that are with us, when you think of what phrase do you prefer? I'm just curious, sort of an informal poll. What phrase do you prefer instead of work-life balance? Do you like integration, harmony, rhythm, alignment, or something else? I'm just curious. I'm super curious. And who's James' favorite while these are coming in, what's James's favorite superhero?
Gosh, well, he has a lot of them. He has Batman, Superman. I don't think he has a favorite.
Okay.
He just loves them all.
I went to a new dentist the other day, and I was put in the superhero treatment suite. They don't have exam rooms; they have treatment suites, and the room I was in was this superhero treatment suite. Jacob, I like the word Gucci. You're just always here. I love it. Always here for a good time. Whole self. Zach goes, handling it. Instead of integration or alignment, handling it. We don't need to formalize this. I'm just handling it. Feel free to drop in if there's a phrase. I love that, Maria. Work-life synchronization.
Oh, that's a good word. I like that. I like that. Like a clock.
On rhythm. Yeah, synchronization. That's all these are kind of, the word balance is only good to use in two terms: gymnastics and the force. That's it. I think everyone brought out their comedy chops for you today, Dom. I think that's really what it was.
It's a strong game. Everyone's playing today. This is fantastic for a Monday.
Strong game. Work-life fusion. I like that. The fusion because it's not like they're separate, right? It's not like, oh, here's my person that I am. People feel this way. Here's who I have to be when I go to work, and here's who I am when I'm not at work. And what I'm hearing you say is you're like, enough of that. I am not suit Dom anymore. I am like whoever I am, wherever I go, right?
And that's, I think I told you that. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for close to 8 years now. And that was, for me, was in my final corporate days that I could just no longer tolerate the fact that there was two versions of me, right? I had to be a different version at work, and then there was real me, right? But the thing is, work version was affecting real me. Real me was tired and exhausted and very jaded and cynical as a result of the overbearing work me, right? So I always jokingly tell people that work me is gone, right? He's firmly buried in my backyard. He will never see the light of day ever again.
And how does that feel? Like, how does it feel to make that decision?
It at the time it was extremely scary again, because I had curated my mind to the point where I thought I was always going to be in corporate. I was going to work up my way up the corporate ladder. Being an entrepreneur had never, not once, ever entered my mind. But I look back now and think of how much I've grown as a person. Like it allowed me to explore hidden dimensions of myself that I didn't know even existed. I had always been very technically focused, security focused. I wasn't someone who was, particularly focused on relationship building and, being a positive troll and that type of stuff, right? So if I hadn't become an entrepreneur, this version of myself would not necessarily have ever manifested, right? And that to me is something I'm grateful for, that I went down that path.
Yeah. Well, and as an entrepreneur, I feel like you've gone about certain things differently. Like we talked about the way you've shown up. And I'll drop into, I think we've got the synchronization is picking up speed, by the way. Karen mentioned life synchrony. Start every day with positivity, Amit says, and Toby says, I like integrated, but honestly, I also like, quote, I will always be the same person wherever I go, in my mission statement. Toby's a pretty inspiring person, who is just very, I don't want to say just anything, very thoughtful, very intentional, very principle driven. And I appreciate that about her. And Dom says, I'm with you, RIP corporate self. What's one dimension? Oh, how about this? Here's a question for you. And if you have questions, by the way, drop them in the chat. What is one dimension that surprised you that you have now that maybe you didn't have before?
That's a really good question, Zach. And I'd say that for me, at least professionally, that was seeing myself as more than just a security professional. I for the first 10 years of my career, that's all I saw myself as, is just being a security professional, right? I didn't see myself as being someone that could speak on other subjects, right? But over the past few years, especially hiring a coach, which has helped me, inspire myself and explore those other dimensions, was recognizing that, hey, you know what, as an entrepreneur, right, you can talk about building a company, building a culture, right? The power of relationship building. I'm so much more than just being a security professional, right? And that, I'd say, was the biggest thing that was really shattering for me, because I always only saw myself that way. So that was extremely humbling to recognize that there were other avenues of my psyche, shall we say, that just had never been explored.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And it's like so much more. When I hear you saying that, it's like so much more becomes possible. Just like the possibility that wasn't there before. And Carl Sean Watkins, welcome. He says another positive troll. I mean, they've shown up in droves today, Dom, for you and for this community. Carl Sean Watkins is another, just if you're not following him, you need to follow him, because he's just a supporter and life bringer. And I love, Jacob says, relatable, corporate life is a drag. So it's like, how can we just be more human with this? And one of the things I want to talk about your red headphones, because the first conversation we had like 2 years ago, I remember you brought up this story that you shared with me about comments that you got about these headphones. And if you could just share that story with us, because I think it's a really powerful testament to just the power of being yourself.
Absolutely. And one,
hi, little friend.
One of the things which, and for the record, these are my second pair. The first one broke. They had an honorable retirement, and these are already on their way out. I think I take too many calls, but it really is like it was a story about just the power of being yourself. And back when I had more in-person meetings, I would usually walk in with my headphones around my neck, right? Because I would be taking calls in the car or on the way to a meeting or what have you. And when we were walking into a meeting, my business partner said, "Hey, why don't you pop off those headphones?" I looked at him and I said some choice words, which I will not repeat because my 4-year-old is here. But I said, I'm me. If they don't want to be our client because I'm wearing red headphones, then I don't want them anywhere near me. They're not people that I want to do business with. So kept them on. We sat down, and the first thing that the person said was, "I love your headphones. That's such an awesome color." We connected on something. I think you mentioned this earlier, Rachel, giving people something to talk about other than the how's the weather banter, right? Nothing makes me want to pull my eyes out more than that type of banter. But by coming in, by being different, we were able to connect on something very different. And right, you when you walk into a room and you look different than all the other people that maybe they were, because I know they were going through a process where they were evaluating different security partners, and they remembered the red headphones in the follow-up call. They say, "Yeah, no, Dom, of course I remember you, the red headphones," right? And they ended up being a long-time client of ours, right? Again, by being yourself, being willing to be authentic, and not just be another suit in the crowd.
Yeah. And I love that story. Zach says, "You demand with the red headphones." Oh, I love it. And Leslie says the power of being yourself. Now there's yourself. Now there's a t-shirt. We know Ashley Evans. Leslie, maybe tag Ashley Evans. She's another positive troll who makes these really cool t-shirts focused on mental health. She sent me one that's called, says "You are not alone" on it, which is a reminder that I think we all need. So if I just want to reset too for everyone that's just joining us, I'm here with Dominic Vogel, who is a positive troll. He is a thought leader in the cybersecurity space, and he's just an overall generous, kind, compassionate, thoughtful, intentional, caring human being. That's who we're talking to. There he is. It's Red Headphone Guy. So it's like, feel free to drop in the comments what's something that you think is quirky about you. What's something you think is weird about you? Like, I'll share an example. Similarly, do we have maracas? Who are these little bopping heads? I'm so curious.
Those are remember Freddie from Scooby-Doo? These were bobbleheads from a McDonald's Happy Meal. So perfect. They sound like maracas when James
They do
plays
sound like maracas, but they're not. That's fantastic. But speaking of maracas, that brings us to the point about music. See, there's transitions we can create in everything. And, you know, like I know one of Jacob's things is he likes to connect people via snacks, selfies, and other weird things. It's nice. So Jacob posts funny selfies on people's threads. They're really funny. People should check him out, follow him too. I love it. Oh, Anna says, I'm going to get some turquoise headphones. Thanks so much for the inspirational dialogue. Yes. Nice. We fully support investing in colorful headphones.
Yes.
So feel free to drop in the comments anything you think makes you weird. I'll share something that just happened 2 weeks ago. I had someone reach out to me on through LinkedIn about a speaking engagement they wanted me to do for their company. So they have a couple hundred people. They've got remote teams, and they're trying to figure out, you know, how to foster engagement with them. And that's one of the main things I do in my work as a facilitator. And so she reached out and she said, honestly, our CEO, the reason I'm contacting you, our CEO thought it was really cool that you combined singing with speaking. And I've had people leave comments on evaluations after events, and I've had people say things like, it was really weird that she sang during the presentation. And initially I felt sort of defeated by that. Like initially when that happened, I felt like crushed in my spirit, like this thing that I love, that I'm so afraid of people rejecting me for. And here it is, someone's rejecting me. And fine, they're, to your point, like they're not my people. Like the people that are going to shun you or judge you for the red headphones or for having a 4-year-old on a call, they're not your people, you know? And so I think just like, you know, I think that's so important to be yourself and to not, as long as it's not hurting anybody, to not be apologetic about it. And Leslie's very kind. Oh, Anna, I turn challenging people when in meetings to cartoon characters. Anna dropped some links in the chat, sent us some pictures about this. And then Leslie remembers birthday. Yeah, I just had a birthday on Friday, which I got a text from you, Dom. Thank you. Yeah, getting the right month is a win. And Robert's here. He's another one who's really supportive and kind. But yeah, my birthday was on Friday. Had a great day. But anyway, I just think anything else you might want to share about that, or any other stories you've heard other people share about like doing something that maybe other people would have thought is like, not about that. But then either you found benefit, maybe something you've done at any point in your life, or just a story you've heard or seen in anybody else's life about just the importance of being yourself.
Yeah, one of the things which I'll share is something that happened to me too. I mean, it was when I was starting my speaking career. You know, I like, especially when I was just giving security talks. Cybersecurity is a very dry subject matter, and that's on a good day. Even for me, I mean, I'm supposed to be someone who loves this. I find it incredibly boring and tedious at times. So when I'm giving presentations, I try to be very lighthearted. I try to intertwine a lot of humor, whether it be self-deprecating or otherwise. And I gave a talk in it was in Florida. It was at a security conference. And when I saw the feedback, it was pretty much 50-50, in which there was a group there that absolutely loved it. They thought it was fantastic. They loved that it was different. They loved that it was focused on making a seemingly complex subject matter like cybersecurity, making it relatable to technical people. Mm-hmm. But then there was another faction, and it was, at the time, it was the faction that I was overly focused on. I couldn't see the good comments. I was overtly focus on the bad comments. It was basically, saying my humor was cheap, go back to Canada, you call me loving SOB and that type of stuff that I couldn't even believe. I was like, well, I wasn't even talking about communism. Why is this person calling me a communist, right? And clearly there's people in southeastern U.S. that don't like Canadians for whatever reason, but it was stuff which really hit my soul. Mm-hmm. And I remember, thinking, well, I love speaking, but if there's people like this, maybe I shouldn't be speaking. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And it took me a long time to recognize that. Again, this goes back to our whole concept about what we were talking about earlier, about being a good light, focusing on the positive energy. Something which I realized that when I looked at it, I was like, there's just as many, if not more so, people who took the time to say that they love what I had to say. Mm-hmm. And I chose, like I said, it took me many months, but I chose to recognize that those are, like you said, Rachel, find your tribe, find the people mm-hmm. who want to be in your ecosystem. If there are people who are offended by what you say, that's okay. I think I mentioned at the top when we started talking, that's just as powerful because it clears the path, it clears mm-hmm. the way, right? And that way people that you think might be in your ecosystem, by being yourself, it allows that, by allowing your inner light to shine out, it attracts the people that should be there mm-hmm. and it repels the people that shouldn't. And that's so powerful because then you're not left wondering who's in your tribe and who's not, right? You have a very clear understanding of who's in your corner and who's there to support you, kind of thing. And like I said, it's human nature to sometimes overtly focus on the negative stuff. Mm-hmm. But when you really take the time to, again, internalize it, recognize that sometimes there is good feedback in there. Maybe it's wrapped in negative stuff, but sometimes there is good constructive feedback. Mm-hmm. But by, like I said, choosing to focus on the positive stuff, gosh, you can uplift yourself to great heights. And now when people do, take a shot at me, or I've had people say, "Oh, why are you so?" Someone said that I was crazy for, I was like, "Oh, this guy's mentally unstable for always being so positive." That stuff just rolls off my back now, right? But again, it's a journey, and I recognize that, especially people who may be earlier on in their journey, posting on LinkedIn. I want to make sure that they don't stop being themselves because of what someone says, right? Yes. Just keep going.
Yes, I'm like, that's the thing, because it's so easy we can get cut down. And Bill, welcome, good to have you with us. Bill Bradford's another one who's a supporter of others. And I think you're right, because we never know what one comment, like I think all of us can think of at least one thing somebody said to us at some point in our lives that caused us to shut down in some way. Right. I think drop in the chat, just the comment. I'm just curious. There was like, I can remember that, or me or something. If you can remember, you don't have to say what it was, but if you can think of a time in your life where somebody said something that caused you to like shut off or shut down or mute a part of yourself. I'm just super curious about this. And oh, so kind. Toby says, I think that's why I love interacting with you both so much. I never worry about being who I am. You find the best and not the worst.
I love that.
That's our goal, is to do that, and I think, we've all had situations. I had somebody a friend, very dear friend, who like made fun of me. She would joke about it. It was even in like her speech at my wedding about how like Rachel thinks she's Mariah Carey kind of comment. And she would say things like that. I don't think I liked Mariah Carey growing up. I loved to sing, but it was like this ding on my voice. It was intended to be like sarcastic, but I was already insecure about singing in front of anyone anyway. So like that one comment caused me to repeatedly question myself. I was like, should I be singing? Am I all that good? And you're in good company, because Zach says, I've actually been told I'm too positive and loud and happy. This was said by a miserable person no longer in my tribe. Yeah, I've blocked people on here that just come on and want to trash. I've blocked people on LinkedIn. I'm like, I do not have time for you. Like, if someone is not even willing to be curious, I'll often give people a chance of like, hey, might there be a different way you could say that? And if they just come on and they want to be negative, I'm not interested. I don't have time for that. And I know Rachel Beck is somebody else who is like, no nonsense. So shout out to Rachel Beck. She's another person who's like, the way you treat people on here really matters. Absolutely no tolerance. Tim, if you want to tag Rachel, she was a guest on this show too a few months ago. But like, people remember, people notice, and we all talk to each other, you know? So if someone's downright nasty, I mean, I had somebody who I thought was like a good connection who like accused me of being on all these engagement pods and was like, you're not actually writing these things. You have somebody. And I'm like, no, I'm writing all of my posts myself. If you're getting a response to a comment, I wrote it. Like, just why the need to be antagonistic again? Hence the need for more positive trolls, right? Hence the need for all of these little friends on LinkedIn and in the world in general, positive trolls, if anyone's wondering about that. And Anna said, I can remember someone saying that I'm too kind. And I said, don't mistake kindness for weakness. Boom.
Yes.
Boom.
I'm a firm believer that the how you counter negative energy isn't more negative energy. It's through positive energy, right? So that's a superpower when we're able to do that. Absolutely.
It is. There's a snippet of a song that's coming up for me that I wasn't planning to do, but it's like a snippet of a song that I know everybody knows because I know this music. This it's one of my favorite movies. So I'll sing just a snippet of it, just a little snippet of it, because it speaks to exactly what you're talking about, Dom. Okay, so here we go. There's an impromptu thing. All right. Okay. When the sharpest words want to cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood. I'm gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen. I make no apologies. This is me. And I feel like that's you. And that's like, right, when we show up and we're just like, this is me, take it or leave it. You're going to get red headphones. You're going to get comedy. You're going to get jokes. You're going to get positivity. You're going to be sung to. Like, deal with it. There are too many people that are playing small in the world and that are overly apologizing for the gifts of who they are because they're afraid it's going to be too much for somebody else. Like, we need to stop doing that. And we need to show up in the world with the fullness of what we have to offer. And you're somebody who just does that so well and so beautifully.
Thank you. And I love what you said there, in which I think people always forget this. That at the end of the day, we're all gifts, right? We are, each and every one of us is a very individualized gift, and we're denying the world if we're not being ourselves that way, right? You are a unique gift that was put on this world for a reason. Don't mute yourself. Don't be something that you're not, right? We all love to see the wonderful gift that each individual person is, right? That to me, like I said, is one of the greatest things, which I'm so glad that for me, it required me becoming an entrepreneur to recognize that. That doesn't mean that has to be the same case for everyone, but I think, getting to that point of enlightenment, of awakenment, where you can truly be unmuted, like that's living life from that point forward.
And it's a life of freedom, right? Like, the unmuted life that's why I care so much about, even in the opening video that Daniel Hall, by the way, Daniel Hall, super talented guy, he put that opening intro video together. When we show up that way, that's why I'm so passionate about this message. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I know what it's like to silence myself. I know what it's like to hide a gift. And I know what it's like to hold back because of fear of judgment of other people, or fear of being kicked out of somebody's tribe you didn't even want to be in anyway. You know what I mean? So often we're like, it's like we care about being kicked out of a tribe we didn't even want to be a part of sometimes. I didn't like those people. Why do I care if they don't like me back? Like,
it's and like I said, I think what's so great about platforms like LinkedIn is that you're able to find your tribe, right? But how you really do that, we'll go back to what I was talking about earlier, by being consistent, being yourself, and leading with a well, I always like to say leading with kindness, right? If you lead with kindness, and you're not leading with sales, not leading with a hidden agenda, you're leading with kindness. So like I said, life truly opens up there. It really, really does.
Yeah, and possibilities open up, and then when people get to know you as a person, they're like, I like that. I'm sure you've had this happen, Tom, where you've had, and by the way, people in the chat are just like, loving it, live into the fullness of who you are. We're all gifts. When words fail, music speaks. Mic drop. We've got all sorts of good stuff in here. And Tim so succinctly captured what you just said. Be consistent. Be yourself. Lead with kindness. If you lead with kindness and sales, not an hidden agenda, life truly opens up. I bet you've had people contact you that have seen you consistently share on LinkedIn and they have no idea what you do. Is that true? You've had people contact you and then you have a conversation? Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely. And it always makes me reconsider if I need to be more clear in my LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
But I've now come to realize though that and I always tell this to people, what I do is secondary. Right? If I get people to, and I know this is an acronym that's thrown out quite a bit, KLT. We get to know me, get to like me, get to trust me.
Mm-hmm.
What I do is ultimately irrelevant. But if I need to get them through that first gate where they know me, they like me, and they trust me, and then we have a conversation, and then it's like, you cybersecurity. Oh, that's interesting, and then that leads to stuff. But I found where I lead with cybersecurity, rarely leads anywhere, and that's often quite boring. But when like I said, by leading with who I am, and the security stuff comes after, boy, that has helped with, like I said, company growth, my personal growth. It seems counterintuitive. I know it drives my business partner nuts, but I truly believe in doing life and business that way. Right, lead with yourself, right, and the business stuff will follow.
Yeah, absolutely. Lead with yourself and the business will follow. And then Toby says, even if you're not a constant in your presence, presence, if you are consistent in your presence, you'll be known for the gift that you are. So like, if you're someone who just, I'm like, oh, Toby, people are dropping all kinds of mics today. Like Anna's kindness is contagious. Leslie, find your tribe by being consistent, leading with kindness. Another t-shirt. So we're giving Ashley Evans lots of t-shirt ideas. Leslie, feel free to tag her again if you want. And then Zach says KLT, best acronym I've heard in a while. Just such an incredible, you're a wonderful human. And, I am so grateful. I'm so grateful for everyone being here. Christina and Tim and Rich and Anna and Zach and Toby and I know Gabe was here and Jacob and Bill and Robert and oh my gosh, and they so many, just Carl, so many incredible, Maria, wonderful people, and most importantly, Dom, to you for being here and for letting us meet James as well. What a sweet human, and he has such a gift to have you as a dad. Like, I know you have your moments and you're not perfect, like who is, but what a gift to have someone who's so committed to his own growth and to the development of relationships, because that's gonna influence and impact his life for the better. I mean, forever. And I just think that's amazing. Is there any last things you wanted to share? Anything? I know everyone connect with Dom on LinkedIn. If you're not already connected, send him a message. He is the real deal. What you see is what you get. And it's absolutely worth getting to know you for anyone who's curious. But anything else you want to share with us?
I just want to say thank you again for having me on your amazing show. Thank you for your lifelong friendship. Thank you to your amazing tribe for bringing their A game and engaging today. This is an absolutely wonderful way to start my week. And please, for anyone listening and participating, do reach out. I practice what I preach, and I truly believe in friendship building. So I'd be humbled and honored to form friendships with each and every one of you. So, but thank you again, Rachel. From the bottom of my heart, thank you again for always being such an amazing and uplifting friend.
Oh, you're so welcome. This has been great. And shout out to Tim Sohn, the best producer out there. He's behind the scenes working all the magic. And I just want to also thank Nathan on my team, who often invites so many of you amazing people to be here. And so, feel free to drop in what maybe the greatest gift from this conversation today, or just even a word that you're feeling as you walk away from it. Feel free to drop those in the comments as we wrap up and close. And Zach said, Dom Vogel totally brought this already incredible Monday starter to a new level. Whoa, dude. Leslie says, best part of my Monday, and the day is young. Best part of my Monday. You're a great role model today as a pops, he says. So Zach gives you props.
Thank you, Zach.
Props to the pops. Robert, thank you for being here. We appreciate you. We feel appreciated. We feel the love that's been coming in the comments today. Terry, so good to have you here for that. Glad you enjoyed the singing. More of that to come. And James gets a shout out too. So James, we can give a goodbye to James and say, James, thank you for being here. I know he can't hear because you got headphones on, but if he's there, we can give him one more goodbye. But otherwise, that is a wrap today. He's busy. He's playing like a kid, like he should as a 4-year-old.
That's right.
Totally fine and permissible. We support that. That's wonderful. Well, again, Tom, thank you so much. And everybody stay tuned for details on the next show. I'm taking vacation coming up in a bit, so I'm going to see what setup I can get going on up there just to even give a shout. But otherwise, we might be coming back together on, it might be a month, August 8th, but I'm going to try to come on and do some pop-ups between now and then. So again, thank you, Tom. Thank you, community. And everybody have a fantastic Unmuted Monday and a great rest of your week. Thanks for joining us. Bye.